Wall Street Memes Casino,
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook. Sign up now for a $20 free bet. Just use the code IFLTV24. Sign up now. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to another episode of Talk Smart with
You.
I'm McCART. That's Joe PUGH. I'm Andrew McCART. Episode 28 of doing this. Mr. Joe PUGH, how did you stay up for the fight last night?
Yes, I did, mate. I did. Big unification fight. All three of the four belts on the line, and Beterbiev does what Beterbiev does best, doesn't he?
Oh,
He seeks and destroys.
I think seek and destroy is probably the best way to describe that man, Joe, to be honest. He is an absolute monster. And again, when I was watching the fight, then I watched the highlights back on YouTube, and I'm like, I mean, he does the things, he does the subtle things good, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? He just pops the jab out, he measures you with the jab, slight little jab, and then he doesn't load up on his punches. He doesn't waste shots. He just throws a flurry of shots, and I think that every shot just must hurt. I just think that the way he produces the power, it might just be a natural talent that he's got, that he just carries power in both hands, and he doesn't need to put much effort into it. It's just a scary man. And we all thought, I think you probably as well, Joe. I'm 41 years old, so I still spar with the kids in the gym, and I know I'm old in there, right? And we're all thinking that maybe this is the right time for people to get to Beterbiev because of his age, and Father Time is undefeated, as they say. But he seems to be knocking out Father Time as well.
Yeah, I think we said, I think it was last week, that you're kind of at a stage of his career now where you're kind of waiting to see when it is, because usually, as we see maybe with Wilder at the end of last year, Father Time does catch up with you. It could just be one fight. You could get old overnight. So I think a lot of people were holding on to that thought that he may have got old in the year, because it has been a year since he last was in the ring against Anthony Yard, and Anthony Yard done a good job against him. He put in a really good performance against Beterbiev, and we see how tough that would have been for him in his performance last night. But he's just shown that he's still got it. I can't see him losing it anytime soon. And it has to set up this Dmitry Bivol fight.
Yeah, I think so. And looking at the fight last night, I don't think that Beterbiev has slowed. People, I've seen a couple of comments that maybe his feet have slowed, but again, I don't think he's ever had amazing footwork.
No.
No, I mean, I don't think he's ever had that sort of showing you different angles. All he does is the fundamentals right. He measures you with the jab. If he knows that jab's landed, he'll come in with a right hand, and then once you're against them ropes, he won't let you off them. And he just throws short shots. And the way that, again, I don't know if I can name a fight, Joe. I don't know if you can. Has he ever knocked anyone out with one punch concussive, one shot? Although most of his knockouts, I'd imagine, have been the flurry. Accumulative punches. And again, he just does everything right, and he doesn't really waste his shots. And Callum Smith he landed some good shots. He landed a good uppercut in the fourth round, I think it was, and a couple of good left hooks. He's got a chin as well, Artur Beterbiev. Now, if you're looking at the Bivol fight, what has Bivol got that can make him be the first person to beat Artur Beterbiev? And I think the way you've seen Anthony Yard, you mentioned Anthony Yard there, Joe, right? Anthony Yard's got good little angles. Do you know what I mean? And he does shift his feet. So he won't let you get him back on the ropes, because he will shift his feet and move around. And I think that Beterbiev's footwork is key in this fight. The way Beterbiev jumps in, jumps out, in and out. And I think that's probably the key to that. Well, I don't know how you see it, mate.
Yeah, I think, first of all, there was a big thing made about it last night. The ring was only 18 foot. So I'm sure Dmitry Bivol will not want it as small as that. I think he'll probably want it as big as possible, because Dmitry Bivol's going to want to use his supreme ring IQ. He's going to want to box. He's going to want to find them angles, like you said. But it's a case whether he can be stalked down by Artur Beterbiev. And I just think so far he's done it to all 20 of his opponents and found a stoppage. So I think with Bivol Beterbiev is so fascinating, and as you say, it has to happen because last night before the main event, they flashed up the top 10 or top 15 fighters. I don't know in the light heavyweight division. I don't know what it weren't a governing body. I don't know who decided this top 15. It might have been Ring or it might have been BoxRec. I don't know, but it's rare that you see two standout fighters that, for me, proven and kind of back catalogue, are head and shoulders above the rest. There's just two clear people there. Well, when you go down, you look at like the Boatsis, the Azizis, who are fighting themselves. Great fighters, but they haven't got to that level yet. There's two fighters in their primes, and proved it last night that Beterbiev is still in his prime, and they've got a fight right now, and it will be the I know it's undisputed, but no one can even dispute that is the crown. That is the top, the best of the light heavyweight division.
Definitely. And when you look right now, them rankings that you're talking about, who else is there for Bivol? Who else is there for Beterbiev but each other? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. They're beating everyone. They're beating everyone.
Exactly. And I mean, look at the resume. You mentioned the resume, right? Beterbiev just beat Callum Smith there, who's good. Anthony Yard. He's beat Marcus Brown. So he's beat everyone in this division. And then you go down to Bivol. He's just beat Lyndon Arthur. He's beat Canelo. Beat the big Ramirez. Do you know what I mean? So he's... Again, there's nobody left in his lightweight, heavyweight division but the two of them to face each other, and I think it obviously clearly makes sense, man. And the way the Saudis are talking, you've seen the face-off during Fury and Ngannou fight week back in October, and it seems like they want it. They want to have that fight. Now, you mentioned the ring size. Will they try and squeeze that fight in for March 8th on the undercard of Fury, Joshua and Ngannou? Do you think is that too soon? I think that's only 8 weeks away, is it?
Yeah, I think, although what Beterbiev proved last night, I think he'll still need to take time for his body to recover, probably a longer recovery period. I think Eddie said that they're looking for May, or I'm assuming it'll be after Ramadan now. But yeah, kick off the next Riyadh season with that big undisputed fight.
I think right now, 2024, I think we need to put emphasis on the undisputed. I like the fact that we're starting to see a lot more undisputed fighters in the division now, because I think having 4 world champions is great, and you can call yourself a world champion, but are you the number one in the division? The only way to find out is if you unify and then go on to become undisputed in that division as well. And Artur Beterbiev, imagine him up at cruiserweight. Is he too small for cruiserweight? Is he one of them guys that when he fights like a guy like the guys in that 6'2", 6'3" realm? Is the size? Is this another case? Does size matter? Every good big guy beats a good little guy, all that nonsense. But I know Dmitry Bivol spoke about going up to undisputed, up to cruiserweight. And I'd like to think maybe Artur Beterbiev will probably do the same if he becomes undisputed, vacate all them belts and then move up. Because he's only had 20 fights and he stopped every single opponent. I don't think he's had many miles on the clock. I think the hardest fight he's probably had in terms of damage was the Marcus Brown fight when he had that big nasty cut down his forehead. Yeah, I don't know. I want to see the Dmitry. I'm a massive fan of Dmitry Bivol. I just think the way he boxes, you just need to see his pad work, but his feet work. I think that's the key. I don't think he'll put a dent in Artur Beterbiev, to be honest. No. I honestly don't think whatever he does. I think this for Bivol, it'll go 12 rounds. For Beterbiev, if he lands and he manages to get you up against them ropes, then that's a place you really don't want to be.
He's relentless. When he's got you on the ropes, he'll even let you come off the ropes to lead you into a full sense of security, which he done a couple of times towards the end of the fight last night. And then he'll wait for the opponent to throw, and then he'll just land another flurry back onto the ropes. And it's just so brutal. And I think well done, Buddy McCART, for stepping on that ring apron and making sure that fight was not going to continue, because it was only going one way.
Yeah, definitely. And I think fair play to Callum, man. He got up as well. Do you know what I mean? He was ready to go. But like you say, Buddy McCart's there for a reason, not just to only train his fight and get him ready to fight, but his safety as well when he does fight. And fair play to him. But where does Callum Smith go, Joe? Would you like to see him crack on? Because like I said to you, these belts will become fragmented, I believe, like what normally happens, because I'm sure these fighters don't want to start fulfilling mandatories after they become undisputed. And 9 times out of 10, we've seen fighters that do become 9 times out of 10, we've seen fighters that do become undisputed. They do move up into a new weight class and try and become a 2-time or 2-weight world champion in a different weight class. So I'd imagine that after the Bivol, unless the rematch clause that is, but again, the mandatories, I'm sure they don't want to fulfill them. So does Callum Smith, does he take some time off? Because I saw the post-fight interview. He's got to reassess, but I think he can become a two-time weight world champion. It's just a matter of waiting. And then you mentioned Anthony Yard, but look at the heavyweights there, the light heavyweights that we have in the UK: Buatsi, Dan Aziz, Anthony Yard. You know what I mean? We've got some great light heavyweights in the UK alone. So we could get a world title fight in the UK at light heavyweight, which would be a huge fight for Cam Smith in a domestic fight.
Yeah, look, take time, reassess, because he has already won everything you can win in boxing. From an English to a Ring Magazine title. He's done it all, so he can step away from the sport with his head held high, knowing that he has fought the best of the best and attempted greatness, as we saw last night, and when he stepped in on relatively short notice against Canelo a few years back. But I think he could take a leaf out of his brother Liam's book. Liam has kind of moved past the world title stage. He's already been a world champion. That box has already been ticked, so he can kind of look for whatever fights suit him, the big domestic fights, and just do it to enjoy it now. Because you're not like a George Groves who was chasing that world title on the 4th attempt. He can relax. He can do what he wants to do, and just if a big fight falls for him, a big fight falls for him. But I'm sure if he's still got the hunger and if he's still got the appetite, once those belts fragment, and they will fragment at some point, then I'm sure he can work himself into a mandatory situation once again. But that being said, take time, but not too much time, because it was a long time since he's been in the ring.
18 months, I think, is it close to
18 months. I know the fight was meant to happen at the back end of last year. It got postponed. But even if it had happened then, it's still a very long time to be out of the ring. So was there a case could you argue for a case of ring rust there? You don't know, but because Beterbiev's that good. But start getting a bit active, start enjoying your boxing again, and see what happens. But as he said last night, he's going to take some time, and we'll see if he comes back.
Obviously, next week we have the Boxer show. Boxer have their first show of the year in Tasha Jonas and Michaela Mayer. Good little fight, you know what I mean? Michaela Mayer, she's been on these shows a good few times now, and she's obviously made the UK a home, really, because she's fought here a good few times. So, I mean, although it's a home advantage for Tasha Jonas, I'm sure it won't feel like that. I'm sure Michaela's made a good few fans over here with her last few performances. So, yeah, you looking forward to next week?
Yeah, mate. There's some tasty little fights on that card. Obviously, big world title fight with Michaela Mayer and Natasha Jonas, and I saw a promo last night, and Michaela Mayer's taking this as her opportunity to get back to the top, back to where she was before the Baumgardner fight. Because I think before the Baumgardner fight, which was incredibly close, Michaela Mayer was seen as a pound for pound star, like one of the biggest female fighters, and it seemed to have not tailed off, but just taking a few fights to come back, as we said, reassess, and this is her chance to grab one of those world titles, a few weights or weight divisions higher, like Natasha Jonas did 18 months ago, and to really assert herself on this female stage. And as you say, she's been over to these shores a good few times now, so it'll be very interesting, shall we say, because I think there's quite a big age difference, there's quite a big experience difference, and it's a proper 50-50.
Definitely. And Jack Cullen defending his British title against Zach Chelly at super middleweight, but then Mark Jeffers defending his English title at super middleweight as well against Jermaine Brown. Now, obviously, I'm sure the winner of these two fights will face each other, one being the English champion, one being the British champion. I'm sure that's they'll Sky and Box will try and make that fight, whether it be Jack Cullen against Mark Jeffers if them two win, or Zach Chelly against Jermaine Brown if they win, or Zach Chelly and Mark Jeffers, whoever. I think that's whoever wins these two fights on next Saturday. I think they've got a fight lined up against the winner of the fight below them, an English title, and Mark Jeffers. You've also got Big Jack Massey. I think he's hanging about heavyweight. I think as well on the card. You've got Adam.
Is he?
I think so. I think he's hanging about. He said to me when he fought Joseph Parker that he liked being up at heavyweight. So. I don't know if that's because it's the money division right now and he'll probably want a slice of that pie. If I was big enough and weighed 18 stone, I'm pretty sure I'll have a piece of that pie, even though I probably couldn't box up it that way anyway. But it seems to be Saudi, they love heavyweights, it seems.
Hmm.
And like, you just need to go on the next two shows next month, which you're going to in Fury Usyk, the undisputed up at heavyweight,
Yeah.
and obviously the one in March in Joshua and Ngannou. They love the heavyweights. You know what I mean? You're almost guaranteed a knockout with the heavyweights, and that's why it's a fan-friendly division, and that's why we love them. So it's a good little card next week. But listen, like I mentioned, slightly mentioned there, there's a big fight happening in March out in Riyadh in Joshua and Ngannou. Now there's a press conference on tomorrow.
Monday, yep,
Monday,
I'll be
tomorrow.
there.
Yeah,
Out in that building. Yep.
You excited, mate? I mean, you've got two huge monsters going head to head for the first time. I mean, just how excited are you for this fight, Joe? I know you love these crossover fights and stuff like that. So you must be buzzing when you see two guys at the size that they are that have knockout power. This must excite you, young man.
Yeah, definitely. And no matter what sport you're in, I think when you're, as you say, a giant of the sport, and I'm not even talking about size at this time, there's an aura that comes about them.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly, I'm not a UFC fan. I don't watch UFC. Obviously, I knew Francis Ngannou was before the Tyson Fury fight, but when I was around him for the London press conference for that, you felt the aura around him. You felt like this guy is a supreme athlete. This guy is the best at what he does, and he's attempting greatness at something else, something that he clearly loves and clearly put a lot of effort in after the Fury fight. So, yeah, looking forward to that one. Tomorrow it should be good. So, yeah, keep out an eye out for all the content behind Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou for March. And it's a Friday, I believe, the actual fight.
The 8th, yeah, that's a Friday, mate.
Friday the 8th. Bit different.
Definitely a bit different, but yeah, the Riyadh season has been fun. To be honest, it has been a fun sort of with the two events that they've already had and the two events they're going to be having. It just makes me excited to see what's going to happen next October when it starts again. For the start of the new Riyadh season in October, what fights we've already mentioned that Beterbiev and Bivol, but for you, Joe, what would you like to see in this next Riyadh season? It seems like it seems like any fight can be made when it comes to Riyadh season. Any fight in the whole entire world can be made. So if you could pick one fight in your head right now that you would like to see, what would it be?
Well, I think the obvious answer's got to be the winner of if Fury beats Usyk, you think AJ. But then it's bittersweet, isn't it? Because you would always want that in the UK, but I think we're kind of past that now. First of all, I'm excited to see who's going to be on the undercard of Fury Usyk, because I haven't really heard any whispers. Hearing Opataya might be on that card.
Yeah,
I think
you mentioned
Joe Cordina. I saw rumours that he could be on the card against Anthony
Sergey Kovalev return.
Is it a Sergey Kovalev return? Okay, very interesting. So I'm interested to see that, because they can't stay in that heavyweight division, because at the speed they're churning out shows, it's just not vitally possible for these heavyweights to have fights every 2 months at the level they're at. So they've got to kind of delve in to the lower weight divisions. And I also think it would be good to have a really, really high-class, world-class women's fight on there. Just to show they have had female fights in Saudi before. I think Ramla Ali was the first one to do it on the AJ Usyk 2 card. So I'd really like to see a big female world title fight, just as a little symbol, as to say, look, we're progressing, we have our views, and but we're making time for the women's game.
Definitely. And I know what you mean by the undercard of Fury Usyk, man. It's like 3 weeks out, maybe. And normally you go on BoxRec and you look at BoxRec and you can see, there's the undercard there. Like, you still go on BoxRec and there's no undercard on it. It's just the main event. So it's like who's on it. And I don't know, Joe Cordino on it. That would be good if Joe can get on it. I think they do need to maybe delve into the lighter weight classes. I think maybe a Josh Taylor Jack Catterall rematch out there would probably make sense right now with the money that they're wanting and stuff like that. So I think that maybe get a couple more of the American guys out there. Why not Canelo? I don't know where he sits. Would you see Canelo in Riyadh at one point? It's going to be a fun time. But like I say, we've got two huge shows coming up out in Riyadh. We've got a Misfits next week. We've got a Boxer show next week. And then we do have a couple of shows in February in terms of Warren and Eddie Hearn's Next Gen. I believe.
What's Aziz
About
as well?
that,
Feb third.
yep. So we'll have a couple of more things to talk about come February, but it's like I say, January is one of them months where it's always quite a quiet little month before we kickstart. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's coming back from Christmas and whatnot. So yeah, until next week. Listen, if you need help with that presser tomorrow, let me know.
Will do, mate.
I'll be hanging about. But like I said, Joe, like hopefully we've got more to talk about next week with the two shows that we're at, and obviously maybe we'll talk about the press conference that you're at on Monday in Joshua and Ngannou. But until then, Joe, as always, good seeing you, big man, and I'll catch you next week.
Yep, I'll catch you next week, mate. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, buddy.
Cheers.
Wall Street Memes Casino,
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook. Sign up now for a $20 free bet. Just use the code IFLTV24. Sign up now. Terms and conditions apply.